I want to give you a tool, and it's a Second Amendment tool. And I have to tell you, what happened in Texas is horrific. And all the liberal media is going to tell you, oh, it's guns, 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 we got to ban AR-15s. No, we do not. You know what we have to ban? We have to ban the pharmaceutical companies that are giving these individuals pharmaceutical psychotropic drugs, and this particular 19-year-old, and nobody wants to talk about the drug issue.
Michelle Fiore, a candidate for state treasurer of Nevada, decided to weigh in on the shooting in Uvalde, Texas, and said it's not guns, despite what the liberal media will tell you, but in fact, it is psychotropics, and we need to ban the pharmaceutical industries, somehow managing to be both anti-gun reform and anti-vax at the exact same time. That is some mind-blowing work. Well done.
This particular 19-year-old was on psychotropics and a lot of different other medications. You really have to get into that fight. Understand all of these school shootings, all of these mass shootings have pharmaceuticals behind them. Another thing, he was also on a lot of different medications from transgendering, so his mind was quite defective.
She said, then also completely made up out of thin air, that because he was on medicine for transgendering, not a term, and if it were a term, it would be an offensive term, that is what confused his mind and made him want to kill people. It's nice to be able to make up stuff and then slander an entire group of people who are already marginalized and are just trying to be treated fairly in our society. That's the move, Michelle Fiore, person who, if you become state treasurer of Nevada, things will still probably be pretty there anyway, and so I don't really care if you win or lose, because it's a lawless state. Nevada's a good time for 3 days, and you have to get out immediately before your brain rots, like yours obviously has. Also, I'm on pharmaceutical medicines, Adderall, for my ADHD, and it helps me focus. And in this one case, unfortunately, because it made me focus on you and the very stupid things you say out of your absurd mouth.
My name is Michelle Fiore, your fighter, your warrior. Vote for me for state treasurer. I love you guys so much.
How about, for once, not making everything a left and right issue, but instead making it a right and wrong issue? Too many people get killed with guns. You admitted in your own very dumb video, your very dumb speech, that what happened was a tragedy, and so we should do all things to help fix that tragedy. So once again, you can do both. And it's been a theme in some of my videos lately because it's very important and we never do it. And somebody needs to call these people out when they go on the record in front of crowds, on television, wherever they do it, and they say, the left is going to say it's about guns, but it's about mental health, but it's about doors in schools. There should be one door. Here's how you stop all shootings. You make no doors in schools. If schools have no doors whatsoever, you can't get in or out. Also, shooters can't get in or out. But you know what doesn't ruin their freedom or make them unable to connect with others is having to hide under tables for active shooter drills, which is a better day for them than if there's an actual active shooter. So the problem here is that these Republicans are always just trying to wedge us without ever offering any sort of reasonable solution. So if she thinks it's about psychotropic drugs and banning the pharmaceutical industries, which is an insane statement to make, that's still not an argument why you also can't put common sense regulations on guns. You can do both, but her brain can't handle it, probably on account of the medicine she's taken for her transgendering. Oh boy.
I know you're a white person in America, so I could see why you think this, but telling other people how to live is actually not a right you have. In fact, if you want to live in a country in which the religious beliefs of the majority dictates the lives and liberties of everybody else, I recommend you try Saudi Arabia, Pakistan.
So by far and away, one of the more dangerous things about the Republican Party is the fact that all the extreme right-wing elements are concentrating themselves specifically within the GOP. You see, on the Democratic side, there's a lot more diversity within the party, diversity among ethnicities and diversity among, policy positions. There's a lot of centrist, establishment corporate Democrats within the party. There's a lot of conservative liberals within the party. And then you have your more left-leaning progressives all the way further left, as far as you can go. But again, as you can see, there's a lot more diversity. However, within the Republican Party, it's pretty much all white. And again, more and more of the extreme elements, whether that be, extreme elements on race, extreme elements on economic policies, extreme elements on who's leading the party, and how they go about conducting their business, they're all concentrating specifically within the Republican Party.
Somewhere like that. But this country belongs to us now. You are not getting it back. And you can believe that.
But I mean, at the end of the day, the religious elements are nothing new in the Republican Party, even the Democratic Party for that matter. I mean, we're just now starting to see people who are, open atheists, or, who maybe have more existential beliefs on God and the universe than just the old, Christian upbringing. Even Biden still touts his Catholic upbringing. So even on the left, you still see a lot of that kind of traditional Catholicism or traditional Presbyterian backgrounds. We just covered a few weeks ago, a woman running in the Georgia gubernatorial race whose campaign slogan is God, Guns, and Babies. We see red state by red state taking away women's access to abortion because their fundamental underlying, at least what they tout, is that it's about, their godly views, their religious views, their Christian views. And so again, these types of elements, they've been in the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. However, the extreme elements are just coalescing on the right, and they're going to continue to do so because there's nowhere else for them to go. And unfortunately, what we all have to keep in mind as well is that one of the bigger reasons that these extreme elements, not only in policy, but also just in culture and just the loud bullhorn advertisement promotion that they always do, the reason that's going to continue to get louder as well is because other than that, what are they talking about? They're not talking about doing anything to help people economically. They're not talking about restructuring our education system or our healthcare system. They're not talking about doing anything about our infrastructure. They're not talking about bringing us into the future at all. They're talking about more authoritarian measures, and they're only going to double down, triple down, quadruple down on Jesus this, Jesus that. Because again, unless they do that, they have to come forward and be like, we're going to take away your access to this, take away your access to that, which of course we know they won't do and can't do because even their crazy base won't stand for that if it's too much in the open.